It has been a while since I have given everybody an update on Yeshua's house and how it's going, so I thought I would take the time to do that right now. I would say overall that we are doing pretty good, especially in light of the probably well-known fact, because I've told more than one person, is that I didn't know if Yeshua's house would work. You know, you think about a Messianic congregation meeting at 1 o'clock on a Saturday. We say words like Sabbath or Shabbat, and I don't know, it just kind of like, whew, I wasn't sure. But here we are. We are a few months into it, and it is working. And I just got to thank the Lord. So I'm really happy about that. Well, here's the journey so far. We started meeting weekly on April 20th. We were at the high school in West Roseville, West Park High, and we had a really short window to meet in, 2.5 hours to set up, tear down, have a gathering, and it was really rough. It was a nice facility, but at the same time, we couldn't fellowship. So we prayed, and the Lord has opened up the door for us to meet at Roseville Baptist at 1301 Coloma in Roseville, and it's been a really good transition, a hard transition. I didn't expect it to be as hard as it is. You would think it'd be kind of a plug-and-play thing, but it hasn't been. We've had to get to know the facility a little bit. It's got some quirks. We wanted to keep it kind of homey, so we wanted to move the chairs like to the side, but the chairs are heavy and there's a lot of them, and so we couldn't. So we've just had to make some adjustments along the way. And it's been interesting, but at the same time, it's been good. Now, one of the things that we noticed when we met at the high school is, again, we didn't have enough time to fellowship. Here at the new location, we do have enough time to fellowship, but at the same time, we're trying to find this nice balance of both meeting, I don't know, it's like no one's a consumer, but meeting the needs of those who have been Torah observant or Torah friendly. And what I mean by that is usually when you think of obeying the commandment to honor the Sabbath, it starts at sundown on Friday to sundown on Saturday. And so for those who are serious about observing that, you've got all day. And so you want your fellowship time to maybe take a little bit longer. So this new place allows us to do that, which is great. But then you've got new folks, and sometimes when they haven't met Jesus or, you know, they're unfamiliar with longer services, it's kind of a big of an adjustment. So what we thought we would do is we would layer things. So you don't have to come to everything. I would certainly enjoy seeing you at the potluck and seeing you at our main gathering. But prayer would be awesome too. And then afterwards, after the main gathering, there's going to be time for fellowship and dancing and so forth. So the layering kind of looks like this. When you go into the main doors over to the right, I call it the prayer room. I'm in there at praying every Saturday at 11 o'clock. I pray from 11 to 11:20, and I hope whatever group establishes there will continue to move on because, I mean, praying is like a big deal, and I just want to start that. And even if I start other classes for the newbies or something like that to teach about, you know, introductory stuff regarding the Bible, or maybe intro to Torah, like maybe they're a believer, but they're not really sure what it means to be grafted into Israel. I want to explain that to that group. So anyway, we haven't started that yet, starting the prayer group. I leave there at 11:20, and I just want to get that prayer group going because I've got to go out and do some setup things. So anyway, prayer at 11 o'clock, potluck at 12. So it's got to be biblically kosher. So if you bring something, you know, if you want a cheat sheet on that, it's basically no pork, no shellfish. And if you do that, you're going to get it 99.9% of the time. So that's a big deal, that fellowship time for potluck, because we got to know each other. And so as Yeshua's house develops, if you are one who doesn't like to, you know, be with other people, it's just a thing that we all have got to do. So if you have the bandwidth and you will come fellowship, certainly come to that time. It's work for some people. For other people, they just naturally do it. But if it's work for you, it's just an important part of our emerging fellowship. And then from the 1 to 3 hour is the word and worship. I praise the Lord for Sarah, a 17-year-old worship leader. and she is doing a great job, not like a performative thing, but she wanted to be used of the Lord, and she certainly is, and we're all grateful to her. But if you look at our church and you see, like, hey, I wish we had more music. Well, I just want you to know, you can learn guitar, learn to play the piano, or if you know someone and they want to start training and start helping Sarah out. In other words, wherever you see a weakness or a gap or something, we're it. So whatever you want to do, this is your church. Now, when it comes to the theology piece, if you see a weakness there, talk to me, and we can work that out, and I can make some adjustments if needed. I always want to walk in the truth. But if it's just the regular stuff, you're it. So if we all chip in some way, and it could be just cleaning up or whatever, we can all make it work together. And then when our gathering time is over at 3:00, then we're going to just now go into a dancing fellowship time. If you're one of the people who help us tear down, if you could just delay a little bit to like 4:00, or maybe at least a half hour, or things settle down. We want to continue to fellowship and worship the Lord in other ways as well. But again, it's layering. You don't have to come to all of it, but come to what you can or have the capacity to, and that would be great. Now, I do want to comment on two things. One is the video. We were uploading a weekly video, and then we couldn't do that. And just to keep it short here, we ended up not having the manpower to make that happen for a short amount of time. So all I can tell you is everyone is doing the absolute best that they can. Everyone's chipping in to their capacity, and we're all volunteers. So we had to take a little break doing that. And that was part of moving into the new facility, is how do we now film and upload and still not have to edit too much. So again, to keep it short, we found a program that allows us to both put something on the screen for our words, but then also stream to YouTube or Facebook, but we're not quite there yet. I'm going to guess that we're probably around 3 weeks out yet. But our goal is to upload and to have that streaming for the moms in the back that are taking care of their babies. And we care about mommies and want to make sure that they feel a part. So we're doing it for them primarily, but at the same time, there's some of you that you can't come all the time, or you live out of our area and you want to participate. And so we want to stream for you. I want to give a big shout out to Josh, who lets us use his camera every week. Without that, we wouldn't be able to do it. I think other than that, we are just in the process of everything getting settled so that we can get everything good, so we can get to a place to I hope for you, where we can invite our friends and feel good about it. That's not that I'm embarrassed about anything now, but at the same time, we want to work out all the kinks so that when that time happens, we'll be ready. We want to be able to welcome new kids in and get them to the right places, and that parents aren't confused about, do I keep them in the service? Do I not keep them in the service? But we can't do everything overnight. Again, we're all volunteers, so it takes a little bit of time. Another thing that I'm really sensitive about is we don't have a place really for our middle schoolers and high schoolers. I'd like to get to a place where we can serve them well, like a youth group type thing. And then another thing is, part of the reason it's difficult to film is we have gone to more of a dialogical format. And right now, what you'll see is we are doing what's called a Torah portion. So it's the first 5 books of the Bible, and then we talk about it, and then we talk about a prophet portion, and then I do a little message on the New Testament, or what's called the Brit Hadashah. So I would say it's working. We've had to, again, figure out the flow of that. One of the things that you'll see this week is when we first started that, we did a video for all of the text, and it was too long, and I'll admit to you that when I was putting those together, which I had to do, it took me like 4 hours. So I can't sustain that week by week. So I abridged it first and foremost for everyone, so it wasn't so long. But this week, you're not going to see any words at all. So I'm encouraging you to bring your Bible, your Legacy Standard Bible, or anyone that you got. But what you're going to hear is the Legacy Standard Bible. It'll be abridged. And then we'll go through that as we have been doing, but probably the first part, the Torah part, and the prophet part will be a little bit shorter, so it'll give me a little bit more time to expand and just not rush through the New Testament part. So again, still give us time to work through the flow, whereas in the past, of course, I've told you, I've planted a church, and part of doing church planting is there's kind of this flow that everyone is kind of used to. But in the Messianic community, we're like relearning. Part of what people don't want, and I don't blame them, is we don't want to go back to having church where you have performers and audience members. So we're trying to work out a way that it doesn't feel like that. Instead, what we have is a community of believers working it out together, but still allow for growth and also good teaching and learning. So learning that's kind of a bit of a learning curve, and just give us some time. We will work that out. Now, one last thing is I went ahead and ordered 40 spiral notebooks, and they are on taking notes on each one of the what's called Torah portions. So Torah, by the way, just means instruction in God's righteousness, and it also refers to Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And all of God's commandments, his statutes, judgments, the way that he wants his people to live are all in there. And you go through what's called a Torah portion cycle, and that is going to start again after the fall appointed time. So coming up in fall, in October, we're going to have the Feast of Trumpets, and then the Day of Atonements, plural, and then we'll go through what's called Sukkot, or the Feast of Tabernacles, and then the 8th day is the last day. It's called Shemini Atzeret in Hebrew. I will explain all of these as we move through them, so the big words that I just used won't sound foreign to you. I'll explain how Jesus is in all of that, and then right on the 8th day, after end of October, the Torah portion cycle starts again. So when we hit that time, more than likely what's going to happen is you're going to have your books, and that's the time where I want everyone to start praying about bringing their friends at that time, because we're going to start right at the beginning of the Bible, Genesis 1:1, and we're not going to probably do the prophets portion and the New Testament portion. I'm going to go week by week, starting in Genesis 1:1, and everyone's going to understand God from the very beginning, God's commandments. And my job, you hear well, where's the New Testament? Where's Jesus? Oh, Jesus is going to be all in it. I'm going to talk a lot about how is Yeshua in Genesis and in these texts. How is Yeshua, Jesus, in Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy? So it's going to be dripping with Jesus. So I'll do that, and then likely after that, we'll go ahead and go. So it goes Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, then Joshua, Judges, Ruth, and we'll likely continue on. So, don't hold me to that. I'm going to want to have New Testament portions in there as well, again, called the Brit Hadashah, or Apostolic Scriptures. When I over-explain like that, it's just that I think in our culture, we've got Old Testament and New Testament, and the thing is, it really shouldn't be that way. It is one book. It is one testament about God's goodness, and my job is to explain what is God doing through the nation of Israel, and now that anyone who believes in Jesus is grafted into that, what does that look like for the rest of our lives? So we're in process here. I just wanted to give you a quick update, and I hope to see you on Shabbat.